What's going on, Illumineers, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And today we're talking aggro. I know how much some people like it. I know how much some people really enjoy just winning by turn 4, turn 5. And I'm telling you that aggro song has not gone anywhere. I have some gameplay footage that we're going to show off at the end of this video. But first, I wanted to talk decks. I wanted to talk where I'm at currently with kind of the mine version, right? Going back to the Candio's Diggy Diggy Hole, and then also where I'm at with my non-mine aggro version. Personally, I've never been a big fan of mine. I don't know. The gameplay just feels slightly odd to me. I think running mine and happy is a little weird, but it was successful. It is what you're going to see in the gameplay footage, and it did get me the win. But I'm also going to show off where I'm at with my aggro list and why I think it might be the better option. So definitely try both. But let's talk about the mine list. And this mine list is what you'll see in the actual gameplay footage. Now, one thing you'll note is this doesn't have any Calhouns. The only reason this list does not have Calhouns is because I forgot my Calhouns on the day that I went to locals, okay? So what I did instead is I threw in 3 Svens. Now, with that being said, I do think Calhoun needs to be here. I do think that Calhoun is a really strong card right now, and I think it's even stronger when you're running Penny as well as Rapunzel's Tower. And I think that combo is just way, way too good. Calhoun being able to trade into Blue Steel with also living through it because of Penny. Penny just allows so many different lines of play that it's really, really hard to deal with. So Calhoun needs to be in this list. Is it 4 of? No, I don't think so, because you don't want to see Calhoun into red blue. And remember, you run aggro song to be able to beat red blue. So you don't want to run a lot of cards that are weak into it. Now, what's different from this list compared to Diggy Diggy Hole of past or other aggro decks? And the big thing is the Baloos, okay? The reason we didn't run Baloo before is because Pirate's Life and Maui Half Shark were so popular. You play Baloo, he's only questing for 1. They banish him for free with Maui Half Shark, and then they bring back Pirate's Life. And they got to bring back Pirate's Life for free, and their Maui Half Shark takes no damage. So Baloo was just an awful, awful card. But what we're seeing is that the DKP version of Red Blue Burn with the Maui Half Sharks and the Pirate's Life, it's not cutting it anymore. It's not as strong, and it just doesn't work because Blue Steel is doing so well against it. Now, that version is still really good into Red Blue, but if it never makes it to all those Red Blue players, then it doesn't matter because it just falls to Blue Steel. Nothing turns sideways. Your Half Sharks get obliterated so fast. So now comes in the Baloos. And Baloos are just so effective, okay? It's the reach that this deck needs. And in the mine version, now you have the mines to protect you against B-Prep or Big Sizu, but you also have Baloo to help you against the B-Prep and the Big Sizu. Baloo also being a bodyguard. So if your opponent plays Bell, Smee, something else, right? And you go Daisy, Piglet, Baloo. Now, if they don't have a song, your Piglet's gonna live, right? Or maybe not live, right? Because they played 2/3 cost. But let's say they ramped on turn 2 because you're playing the item version. Well, now their Bell has to hit into the Baloo and it can't take out your Piglet. If you played a Smee, your Smee gets to turn sideways for an extra turn, makes for a really good Rapunzel value. If you put Baloo on Rapunzel's Tower, Baloo now gets 6 health, and not even a Scrooge can take it out. They need a Smee and a Bell. They need a Scrooge and a Smee. Like, there's so many options. Sure, they can take it out with Calhouns. That's fine. But if they're taking out with Calhoun, then you can take out Calhoun with Lawrence and then Rapunzel value there. There's just so many options. And so I found Baloo to be extremely, extremely good. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see Baloo in this gameplay footage. I have red purple gameplay footage and blue steel gameplay footage, and I'm going to show the blue steel because it's the popular deck right now. But if you want to see the red purple footage, let me know. I can post that as well with commentary. But this is my mine version. Again, I'm not huge on mines. The reason mines are in here is because of Baby Sizu. It gives you another way to take out Baby Sizu. My worry, though, is that it's just too slow because now you play Happy on turn 1, Mine on turn 2, turn 3 you play Lawrence, and then turn 4 you're using 2 ink to or to move the Happy to hit the Sisu, and that's if they didn't use coil or something on the Happy, knowing that you could remove it so easily. So I don't know. There's still testing to be done. I definitely recommend if you played a lot of Mine, give this version a try. Rapunzel's Tower is definitely a big MVP. I really love it. The lines with Penny, really, really good. Talking about a couple of those lines really quick before we talk about the aggro list is that you can go going into turn 3 against red purple, you can use Penny on Daisy. Now Fox can't take out the Daisy Duck. That's really strong. They can't broom crab to take out Daisy Duck because the Penny gives that Daisy the +1 resist. So that's really, really strong. The Penny I've found to be really good as well in later game. If you have a Rapunzel down, you can use Penny to get the resist +1 on Rapunzel, and now they can't Zeus your Rapunzel. So that Rapunzel gaining so much value. A lot of the time in the later games against Blue Steel or Steel Song, you play Rapunzel and it's immediately removed by Zeus, but now that's not an option anymore because of the resist +1. The resist +1 also can just be used on Lawrence to make it so he can't be hit by a Hiram first and then a Bell. So that has been really impactful. The Penny coming in on the Smee is really helpful. There's just, again, there's so many options. You can use the Penny to give resist +1 to Baloo, and now a Smee or a Bell cannot remove the Baloo. They would have to use both of them. And then your characters are still protected, your 1 cost and your 2 cost that you played. And then Sven just in here allowing you to do some really wacky things like questing with a Lawrence, ready the Lawrence with Sven, and then you sing a song with Lawrence, whether it be Strength of a Raging Fire or Let the Storm Rage On. So really wacky things there. We saw Kurt's list recently on Sunday. He was running the Kitas, so more of the older version, and the Kitas were really good into yellow green, so that is definitely an option. I think Sven is the card that you can kind of tech in and out, but again, Baloos have just been so impactful and so good for this list. I definitely recommend giving it a try. But where am I at with my non-mine version? And why do I like the non-mine version more? Well, here I am. First off, 19 uninkables in this list. Okay, 19. So you have to be really comfortable with having a lot of uninkables. But I don't mind. Personally, if you guys have seen my aggro list before in set 5, set 6, you saw that I ran a lot of high or a lot of uninkables. But when we look at our list, the majority of our uninkables are super cheap. They're super easy. And the reason that I've always been fine with it is because of Mulan. If I get a Mulan in my opening hand, then I have no issue with digging myself out, right? It's almost next to no problem. And if I do get stuck on 2 ink, the odds are I'm stuck with daisies and Calhouns in hand, and that's not awful into blue steel. So looking at the list, that's what Mulan is here for. Mulan is to help you. You can alter really heavy if you'd like. If you see 2 docks in your hand, you could probably go alter 6 and you could just keep the Mulan and go trying to find a better line, better curve. And that's a good option. Or you could throw away 1 dock, keep the other dock. And if you draw another dock, you could use Mulan to get rid of 1 dock and draw another card. That's a really good option. You could also run Simba, but there's really no synergy with Simba here. So the Mulan just being a 2/1 is generally just feels better. Looking at the rest of it though, again, the pennies, we already talked about the different lines for pennies. There's so many options. Again, we have Calhouns, so now your Calhouns trade into Smees, it trades into Bells. So what you're looking to do here is you go Daisy on 1 or Cindy. Preferably, if you know you're against Blue Steel, you go Daisy on 1 into a Calhoun, into, you quest. You could even go Cindy. Like you could go, if you're on the play, you could go turn 1 Cindy, and then turn 2 you go Calhoun. If they use their bell to take out your Cinderella, then you use Penny on Calhoun, and Calhoun takes out Belle, and Calhoun lives with only 1 damage on her. So that's really strong because now you have Calhoun, and you have another 2 quester, and you gain 2 lore off of Calhoun. So going into your turn, maybe you had another 1 drop. So maybe you can go Penny and Daisy. And then going into turn 4, you drop something and go Doc, or you drop something and maybe you just go Baloo. But there's just options. Maybe you just go Rapunzel to heal the Calhoun for 1 and you draw 1 card and you have a 1/5/2 on board. There's I love what Penny does for the deck. And if you look down here, I'm on 3 Rapunzel's towers. I could see going to 4. Rapunzel's Tower is just so stinking good against Blue Steel. The card is so good against Blue Steel. There's just you'll see in the gameplay footage what happens when I play that tower. They're stuck and there's nothing they can do. Everything becomes super Rapunzel value. There's so much value at that point. Your Baloo again becomes a 0/6. Your Calhoun becomes a 3/5 with resist +1. Your Lawrence becomes a 4/7. Like Rapunzel becomes a 1/8. There is so much value. There's one game where I turned Smee sideways 3 times and he was fine. He only took 3 damage, and that's fine because of Rapunzel's Tower. It's so good. There's games where I just play it on turn 3 to move a Smee over so the Smee is okay. Or to like, I'm telling you, Rapunzel's Tower is the card for Blue Steel, and this is the set to really abuse it. It's going to be good into Green Steel as well, which we see coming up through the ranks. So looking at this, testing further, there's no changes I would make right now. If you want to stay up to date on all the things I do with this list, check out the Dreamborn. It's going to be in the description. In the notes section in the info block, I put all of my changes. If I take it to locals and I try it and I didn't like something, I type it out. It's chicken scratch, but you can piece together. I put in my thoughts on why I'm changing something. So it's kind of like a deck tech video, just in written format that you can just follow along as you would like. But I'm really happy with the list. Anything I would change, maybe Sven's for Kita's. Kita is really good against yellow green. It's really good into blue steel. So that is something I think yellow green is going to be a big piece of the meta going forward. So maybe that route I don't know about anything else. Everything feels really good in this list. Maybe 2 Sven, so I could go 4 towers, but I am worried that Rapunzel's 4 might be too many. There are games where I do see 2, and that doesn't feel good. I want to see characters off the top or songs, not a bunch of towers that I do not need because they're not gaining me anything if I already have 1 down. Now, another thing you'll notice is there's no Binja in either one of these lists. And personally, I just don't think Binja's worth it in these lists. There are plays where Binja on turn 3 is going to be really impactful. But if you're on the draw and you play Binja on turn 3, they've already played Flaversham. Flaversham's already drawn those cards. It's lost a lot of its impact. Now you just have a 2/3 that quests for 2 that gets banished by anything, and their character lives like what? Really? And I just do not like Binja. I really don't. We've seen Steel Song players that lose the game because they draw Binja versus other things they want to see. And so they banish a Lucky Dime, but Tamatoa just brings back Lucky Dime. So just lots of different things. But that's my thoughts on Binja. I talk about it again in the notes. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to get to the gameplay footage. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go a little bit more in depth in these. I don't know. I've never really done these one-on-one deck tech videos. So just let me know if you want me to explain my thoughts a little bit better. But I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you like the list, check the description. Okay. But let's talk about gameplay commentary. All right, let's talk gameplay. And for this gameplay, I am on the play and I do not know what my opponent is playing. I rolled that beautiful 11, so I am happy about that because I am an aggro, or I'm playing an aggro deck. Now, one thing I do like about these gameplay videos is it's not just for you guys as viewers or gameplay to watch, things like that. It's also, to help me. Like I'll be a little selfish. The aggro lines don't speak to me the way they do with traditional. Traditional, I can play pretty well and not have to pay a lot of attention, but aggro, it's just not there. I try too hard to control the board and things like that. So when I do something that you guys think is a little weird, let me know in the comments, okay? And maybe I can explain my thinking, things like that. Or if you liked an idea, let me know. But let's talk about this. This is my opening hand into a matchup. I'm not sure, but I'm on the play. We see the Daisy, Piglet, Lawrence. I'm pretty happy with that line. I don't necessarily like Piglet on the play blind. And the reason for that is that if it is blue steel, Piglet is gone, right? And because they can let the Storm Rage on so easily, and generally, they always have Bell on turn one. So I'm not a huge fan of Piglet. I would like to see a Smee here. Smee would make me feel a lot safer, feel a lot better, but I'm not upset with it either. Now, Lawrence makes me really happy, but the things that don't make me too happy are the three songs. And Pete, I'm not super high on. I'm on the play, so they're probably not going to be. By the time Pete comes down, they could have already sung with the bell. So the damage will already be done. So looking at this in post production, I would probably do four. I would get rid of the three songs and the Pete, and I would keep the Daisy, Piglet, Lawrence, and also this is the mine version, so there's that as well. So let's kind of see what happens. And yep, there we go. So I do decide to get rid of the four, and again, Pete is just a little too slow on the play into uh the matchup I'm kind of most worried about playing aggro, which is blue steel. And on the play against red blue, it could be better. So, and that's where, but keeping Pete on the play blind, I'm just not super high on. It's not super high on my list of priorities because if they know what I'm playing, then they can just keep Pete and play that on their turn three. And then my Pete can't sing anyways. And it's just this huge cluster. So we get our opening hand. And did I lose? I'm pretty sure I won the dice roll. Let's see. Let's see what's about to happen here. All right. All right. I did win the dice roll. So we ink. Oh, see, right off the bat, right? And I will say this: when it comes to aggro, I think that generally the hardest things to do going into it are going to be what am I inking turn one? Because I need to know what I'm doing turn three and turn four because the game's generally over turn six, right? Turn seven. So we ink the Lawrence, play the Daisy, pretty okay with that. Happy to get the Daisy down. I'm on the play, so that Daisy can just start questing immediately, and we feel happy and fine with that. So we find out he is on blue steel. We see the bell early. It's expected. When you're playing blue steel, always expect the bell on turn one. Okay, do not be naive and sit there and be like, you know what, it's never gonna happen. What are the odds? The odds are really good. Okay, so we quest for two, Daisy trigger, lucky dime. All right, Daisy is doing great things for me. Really excited already. Now the decision is, what do I ink? Piglet's coming down here. Penny, we wouldn't use that yet. So what do I ink to get ready for the Piglet? So I could go Pete. Remember what I said earlier about Pete's probably not going to do much. If I had, looking at this hand, I had 3 2 drops. So I don't necessarily, need all of those. So I decide to go Penny for Piglet, and most likely, Piglet will be hit with Let the Storm Rage on here. And it's fine. We expect it. But now I have another Piglet, and they have to have the answer for that one as well. And that feels okay as well. So we see the sail, and I know when he's reaching for it, it exerts like that. The Piglet is gone. Maybe just hold off. Let them use their card first and then banish it. I think that's better, proper etiquette. But here we do see the 1 drop. So now I think I'd be really happy here if I went. So here's where I'm at right now. Is I think looking at this. So let's slow it down a second. That's a happy right there. So one line that I could have taken here is I could have inked the Pete and I could have gone happy and Piglet. So now I have both of those characters down. That's potential for 4 lore. So that feels really good. The other option is what I'm about to do, which I assume is play the Lawrence. Now, the reason I think that going the Happy and Piglet route may have been okay is because I already have a 1/4 down. That 1/4 can go into the Bell to get me the Rapunzel value. And that's the big reason behind Lawrence. He can trade really well. He quests for 2, but he's also a 4 butt, so he gets really good Rapunzel value. So maybe I didn't need it so bad where I already had the Daisy on the field. Something to consider. But now we sit here, we wonder, we go Lawrence, again, just get that 4 butt, hard to deal with for them. And we see a Tipo go to hand off of the Daisy trigger. I'm currently sitting at 4-0 with a bell on the field for my opponent. But I'm not too upset. I'm feeling pretty good. I see that Rapunzel. I'm happy with that. I see the two four butt characters. I'm happy with that. And life feels relatively safe. Feels relatively calm. And let's see how he opts to respond. We see the Scrooge come down. Pretty good card. Can't argue with that. Offers a lot of opportunity. So gets the popsicle, some more draw. Now, Scrooge is one of the big cards that I am worried about into this matchup because he can trade with so much stuff. So here we do see a Strength of a Raging Fire come down on Lawrence, and that kind of disrupted some of my plans. And this turn actually takes me quite a while. And the reason for it is a couple things. And you can tell me if I'm way off base here. Is Rapunzel could get me 3, right? I could hit the daisy into the bell and Rapunzel draw me 3 cards. And then I quest with the Lawrence, I still gain 2 and I go to 6. Or I could just use the Rapunzel on the Lawrence and draw 2 and then I can quest for 4 and I go to 8. The other thought was maybe I play Pete here. Maybe I play Pete because if they just Zeus, then I lose Lawrence anyways. And if I do heal Lawrence and quest, Scrooge trades into something. So I don't know. I think I overthought it way too much. I think looking back, watching this video, the only answer was to just play the Rapunzel. I think that was the only option, play the Rapunzel. Now, another thing that was going through my mind doing this is my future turns. I could easily play the Rapunzel here, but I was also thinking, well, if I get to 5 ink, I can go Pete and Piglet in the same turn, which is going to guarantee me at least 4 lore that way. So I was wondering, the Rapunzel gains me 2 cards, so I ink the Sven here, and then that puts me at 4 ink. I play the Rapunzel. Rapunzel heals Lawrence. Quest for 4. Daisy trigger. And then next turn, as long as the next 3 cards that I draw, the 2 off of Rapunzel, and my top deck are inkables, then I can go Pete and Piglet in the same turn, and that's going to quest for a lot. So I was kind of looking at that because I needed to make sure my ink was correct. So I needed to figure out what card I inked this turn, and I needed to kind of figure out exactly how I wanted to utilize Rapunzel here. And I hope I'm not about to ink that Piglet after all of that discussion, because that's a really good play in my opinion. Oh, the suspense is killing me. All right, so we do ink the Lawrence, or sorry, this Sven. We play the Rapunzel to draw 2. We see 2 inkables, one being a Piglet, which feels really nice. That mine, completely useless in this matchup. And I think it's just a completely useless card that's going to do nothing for me. We quest for 4, Daisy trigger, Popsicle. Feels good. Never punished, right? So now he has a Scrooge down, he has a Bell down. How does he go about doing this route? If he has a song, I'm I'm in deep trouble. If he has a Zeus, it's not going to be well for me. But no Zeus. Or he could, but he'd have to sing it with the Scrooge. But if he'd hardcasted Zeus on Rapunzel and then sent Scrooge into Daisy and then did nothing with Belle, that would have been really disastrous for me. I would have been without a lot of options because he still has a lot of cards in hand as well. But that doesn't happen. So we're feeling okay. We're feeling all right here. We're not super worried. We have a 1-5-2 on board. We have a lot of 2 questers on board. So this is kind of where we want to be. We see a Bell come down, a Pete come down, quest for 1. Scrooge is going to take out, all right, just does a trade with the Lawrence. Essentially, probably worried about Lawrence going into Bell, trading with Bell, and then healing with Rapunzel. So here, though, I can do the play that I wanted to do last turn, last game, last turn, where I ink the mine, and then I play the Pete and the Piglet. Here, I mess up again. I should tap 3, play Pete, and then tap 2, play Piglet. Okay, slowing it down, just kind of doing that thing. You see the strength temporarily go to his hand. He's like, oh, wait, stop. That goes to the bottom. So strength of a raging fire did not go to his hand. All right. So What do we do here? Cogsworth comes down. Little it actually that does play a big deal. Pete and Belle can both go into the Rapunzel, but is it too little too late? And it is, because if you look at it, he can trade into the Rapunzel, but then I'm questing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, taking me to 18. And then he still has to worry about what's in my hand. Was it over? No, he probably still could have played it out. And I think he would have been pleasantly surprised and happy. Having 2 mines in hand was not good for me, but he didn't know, or I guess it was a Piglet. So go Piglet and mine. Ah, we'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know. All right. Vince, you will know now. But so let's jump ahead, do a little pile shuffle, and let's look at our hand here. Okay, so we see Strength of a Raging Fire, Cindy, Sven, Mine, Piglet, Pete. We're on the draw this time. We know that he's on blue steel. We know that he has the storm rage on, some bells, the normal stuff. And at Cogsworth as well. So we do have that knowledge, which tells us that he is either on Kiwi or he is playing that Moyen version that runs the Cogsworth, more the mid-rangey control item variant-ish. And so that is knowledge, right? But I don't think it's Kiwi because we did not see an Alice, we didn't see a Pluto, any of those types of things. So looking at this, we also didn't see a Smee. So I'm assuming Moyen's list at this point. And looking at this hand, not really what I want to see. The Cinderella gets blasted by Belle very easily before I ever get to do anything. The Piglet, I talked about this last game where I'm not a huge fan of Piglet into blue steel because it just gets blasted really easily. Now, and if they blasted Cindy on turn 1, I played Piglet on turn 2, I most likely don't get to turn her sideways until turn 4 anyways. Now, the only card in this hand that I'm kind of thinking about keeping would be Pete, because Pete gives me the ability to have a 3-drop on turn 3 to stop some singing. So that is a possibility, but other than that, I don't want any of it. But ultimately, because I don't have a 1-drop, a good 2-drop, I don't want any of it. I think I should alter 7. And I have a feeling that's what I do. I have a feeling that's the route I will take. Let's see if I can do this. We'll speed it up just a little. No. There we go. Speed it up just a little to get through the altar. And yep, we go 7. All right, we went 7. So I think that's the right move. I'm happy with that. We do have lines now. We actually have. So this is, again, let me know how you guys feel about it. I believe in this game, I made the right decision. I believe in this game, what I did was correct, but I think there's another option, and we'll talk about it when we get there, as far as what that other option may have been and what it may have done. Let's get through the shuffling, and we will slow it down. Okay. Ink pass. All right. We love it. We love it when they ink pass. So now, ignore the glare. Looks like we're going to ink a happy and hopefully play that Daisy Duck and start going to town. Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, so it's already. So we're already thinking about it. So we'll pause it for a second because here's where I'm at. I have 2 docks in hand, right? So I have 2 docks in hand that are uninkable, and a Daisy, all 3 uninkable. I want to play Daisy this turn no matter what. Now, the other thing though is I have Happy and Cindy. So there is a world where I just play the Daisy, I ink the Happy, play the Daisy. Turn 2, I ink the Cindy, play the Smee. Turn 3, I heal the Smee with the Penny and maybe trade into something. The other line is that I could go ahead and ink the Smee, play the Daisy. Then turn 2, I ink the Smee or the Penny, and I play the Cindy and the Happy. And then turn 3, I ink my other inkable, and then I play Doc and go into something else. So essentially, just rushing to get to Doc. So ultimately, I decide to go Daisy into Smee. But I think there might be an argument to do the whole rush the dock, get the characters down. The only worry I have with doing that option is they all have such low health, they could all get banished very, very easily. So we ink the happy, we play the daisy, always happy to have daisy down. So we pass and move on. Here, going into turn two, we see a sail, so a ramp. Ramp feels pretty good. Do we see a popsicle? We see a frozen screen loading, and we're back. We see the sail go down. Had to internet got a little weird. We see the sail go down. Nothing happens. So we see a daisy trigger, Fortisphere, and now what do? We ink the Cindy. We play the Pete. Or sorry, the Smee. Now here's another option. I could have inked that other Smee and played like kept the Cindy to be able to go 2 drop, 1 drop on turn three. That would have been a fine option as well. We do see the Flaversham go down though on the other side, and I'm hoping to not see a Scrooge here. Scrooge would be really bad for me. But we see a Tipo, but we are seeing a lot of ramp. All right. So there are things that could happen, all that ink. So, but we are going to be able to start getting a really nice lead here when we go ahead and ink something. And this is where I'm kicking myself in the butt for inking that Cinderella, because I could have, there's the Flaversham. This turn, I could have gone Smee plus Cindy to be able to really utilize the best case scenario out of my ink, but that's okay. It gives me another inkable to play with here. We do go ahead and put the damage counter on Smee, which is something I forget to do quite a bit. Trying to do better. We see the Flaversham go to the ink. He's at 6 ink now. So there is the opportunity that if he draws characters, he can start playing them, and they're going to be able to trade very well. We see the Pete and the Bell come down. No item. Remember, we sent that Fortisphere to the bottom. So Tipo goes ahead, quests, because it's not really worth hitting into anything. So here, though, I have a couple options. I could go Baloo or I could go Penny. I could also go Rapunzel's Tower and start moving things in with Rapunzel's Tower. There we do see the Scrooge. Not happy to see that. But here, if I go, so here's the thing. And here are my options. We see Baloo, Rapunzel's Tower, Penny, Doc. If I let Smee take damage here, then Smee gets taken out by Tipo. So I can't do that. That is an awful trade for me. That sets me back far behind. That is not an option. So my option becomes I can either Penny on the Smee, which will heal the Smee and give him resist +1. So now the Bell, the Pete, they can't even take out the Smee anymore. But it still leaves them able to easily remove the Daisy, which I don't necessarily want either. But if they do go that route, then it leaves like they have to go. They would do a full. Essentially, Pete would go into Smee. These two would go into Daisy. That leaves me with a Smee, and it leaves me with the Penny, which is still questing for 4 when I'm already at 12. So that is not a bad option. Going up to 16, going into Doc turn, things like that. Baloo as well. But I could just go the Baloo here, which forces then, if I go Baloo, the Smee takes the 1 damage, so Tipo can take it out. So they go Bell into the Baloo. I gain 2, I go to 14. The Tipo goes into Smee, the Pete goes into the Smee. So I go to 14 with a Daisy on the board, and then I can do things. Or I'm going to have 4 ink here. So I could ink the Penny, play the Rapunzel's Tower, move both Smees into the Rapunzel's Tower, which is not a bad idea either. And honestly, I have no idea what line I take here. So we're going to learn together. All right, we do ink the Penny. All right, so we are going to go the Rapunzel's Tower route. And yes, I love this play. Hopefully I move the Daisy. Yes. No. Yes. 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 So, okay. So I'm really happy with this because now the Tipo cannot remove the Smee and the Bell plus Tipo cannot remove the Daisy. And not even the Bell plus Tipo, the Bell plus Pete can't remove the Daisy. So now I'm in just a really great place. And if he wants to remove the Smee, he needs to go Tipo and Pete into this Smee. So just a really good place right now. Now, if he does get a Zeus, there's nothing I can do about that. It is what it is. But I think this was the most optimal way to play out my hand. Second most optimal, I think, would have been playing the penny, and I think that would have been a perfectly okay option as well. So let's see what happens now. How does he respond to the fact that I now have these amazing Rapunzel value opportunities here? We see the 4 come down, so we do see the Scrooge. So this is where things can get a little wacky. You have to remember that he had to skip turn 1 essentially. No bell. So that really set him far behind. And then Tipo did come down on 2, but no last cannon to be able to help here. So, and I'm already at 12. And that's the thing. Most of this deck is questing for 2. So he's just in a rough spot now. There's a lot of different things he has to figure out what to do but he can still very easily just come back into this game. So he does take out the Smee. Here he does make a mistake, but it worked out for him. He plays a Fortisphere, and luckily he was able to go this route. He plays the Fortisphere, gets the bell down, and then he's able to sing. Yep, there we go. He's able to sing strength. So I'm just counting to make sure, right? The Rapunzel's Tower math is all mathing and doing things correctly. So he takes out the Smee. It's unfortunate, but there was nothing I could have done to differently, I don't think. So happy with it. It worked out the way it worked out, and that's fine. So here he's on 1 card now. 1 card. We're in top deck mode, or he's in top deck mode. We're fine. So we go Baloo because Baloo getting that free 2 lore. We go the dock, discard, draw 2, and I'm pretty okay with that. So the Daisy's there. We quest for 2 with Daisy. Yep, 1, 2, and sees another Scrooge. So just like that though, he's getting a little close. He's getting a little close. He has 2 cards in hand. He has a Scrooge and something else, and then now he has 3. So we don't know 2 cards, but we know 1 is a Scrooge of the 3. Meanwhile, I'm representing 16 on board with the Baloo, 17, 18. I'm representing 19 if he's able to remove nothing in this turn. So let's see how he does. So we see the gears turning. He's like, all right, this is going to do this, and these are going to do these things. So something bad is going to happen. At this point, it looks like it's probably another Strength of a Raging Fire, which is unfortunate. But let's go ahead. We'll kind of speed it up because I can't really talk on his lines when I can't see what he has in hand. So, but I do like seeing the brain tick away here. The hamster's hamstering. All right, speed it up a little. All right, so we see the Zeus come down. Okay. Okay, so Zeus was okay. All right, we'll slow it down. So Zeus was hard casted onto the tower or Rapunzel's tower, and then Belle hit the Rapunzel's tower. And then Belle took out, yeah, Belle took out the Baloo. I got my 2 lore. Scrooge took out the Daisy. And we're left with just a dock right now. So here's where we're at. Here's where we're at. Everything's fine. He does finally get the last cannon, which is unfortunately just a little too slow. But we do draw this Rapunzel, which feels really good. Now, here I take a second because I could go the route of Doc into Tipo and then Rapunzel to draw an extra card. Ultimately, we'll speed it up. I don't think that's the move. I changed my mind and just play the Rapunzel. And at this point, he just has to draw 2 cards. He needs to draw a Zeus or he needs to draw a Strength of a Raging Fire. If he doesn't, then I'm in a really good place. And here, though, I'm wondering, do I ink the Rapunzel? And that's what I opt to do. I ink the Rapunzel. I play the Piglet. And I say, hey, you have to have the cards. You only have 1 card in hand. You're about to draw another. Do you have them or not? And let's we're about to find out. We're about to find out. All right, 1. So imagine an item's coming down. Okay. Yep, the cannon comes down. Bell goes into dock. We'll speed it up a little bit. All right, so he does have the strength, unfortunately. So strength takes out Rapunzel. It is what it is, and then takes out the dock, and I'm left with my lonely Piglet. Meanwhile, I've not used any songs yet, so there's a lot of cards that I could draw in this deck that are not going to do good things for me. So here, though, I was doing some math because what if I had not quested with the dock? What if I'd kept the dock ready? I'd be at 16 right now. If I'd kept the dock ready for this turn, I would draw Smee, and then I would play the Smee. So yeah, so I should not have quested with the dock. Essentially I quested with the dock because they just had to have the answer, right? They had to draw a song to be able to clear my board, and they just did, right? But I think ultimately I shouldn't have quested the dock because the game's just over here if he didn't have anything. So I should have just done nothing and passed the turn. And so that was a little too I should have mathed a couple turns ahead a little bit. But here I draw the Smee and I just say, hey, you need to have the card. We quest because why not? Now he needs to be able to draw the song. Let's see, does he draw it? Popsicle and Bell, and he doesn't have it. So there's the game. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is overall the list. This is what I used on that day. Remember, the changes I would make, I want Calhoun's in the list. I think Calhoun's have to be in the list, okay? I am looking at it right now. If I could redo it, I'd replace the Svens for the Calhouns. I love Svens and what he can do. I just love Calhoun and Penny lines more. Now, this is the list again that I think is just going to be better. I like mines for red blue, but I still think it's just too slow now. And I think that I think that the ability to just go really fast and you have the Baloos to gain you that lore, I think it's just the better option. And so for future gameplay commentaries, you're going to be seeing a lot of this list coming into play. No mines, but I'll play a little bit of both. And of course, traditional. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember though, let me know what lines you would have done slightly differently because I'd love to know so I can try and do better as well, or if there was something that you liked as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, remember, always stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you around.